Greetings, everybody. This is Emmanuel. While filming this, I experienced a few technical difficulties, so you might see a technical difficulty sign pop up if you're watching the video, but everything else is intact, so enjoy! Hey everybody, what's up? This is Indeed, man. Chill like a villain, sing like Bob Dylan, keep on living some double stuff. Oh yes. And wow, the videos kind of that comes into my mind is there are a few of them, but the greatest love of all is definitely one of them. And I'm just I can't believe what I'm about to say. I'm honored to have this guest on my show. She's a mother of two. She's from New Jersey, which is really great. Jersey. She graduated from Montclair University, and now she's a vocal and acting coach. You might know her as young Whitney in the Greatest Love of All video. And I'm honored to have on my show Keara Hailey Gordon. What's up?
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Very welcome.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Also I have my co-host with me. She's my sister. She's amazing. She's awesome. She's actually helped me the first year of the podcast, doing all my flyers and actually doing the logo itself. And she was on episode number 8 of my podcast. I want to welcome Jackie Bryant to the show. Hello, Jackie.
Hello there, dear brother. And Miss Keara. Hello again. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Keara, like what are some of your pleasant childhood memories of growing up in New Jersey, and just what are some of your pleasant childhood memories?
Well, I say I'm definitely a Jersey girl. Although I have lived in a few other states, but I came back to Jersey. I live here with my husband and my family. And growing up, I say my best memories are with my siblings. And definitely any kind of family get together. I tended to be a bit of an introvert. I still am. So a lot of the social occasions that I had are they're the intimate occasions with my siblings, my parents, my grandparents, um, my cousins. And I was brought up in South Jersey, right outside of Philadelphia. So you cross the Betsy Ross Bridge, and you're right in Philly. So South Jersey was definitely, even though New Jersey is very small, I would say the difference between South Jersey, Middle Jersey, and Northern Jersey, there's a difference. So I definitely had, we went to the Jersey Shore. Um, we had a lot of barbecues in back then. And I know way back, great grandparents, they settled in an area of New Jersey called Delaire, and there was a very mixed heritage. So what I remember most about my childhood is that there were all different shades and colors of of my family members.
Wow.
And from as long as I remember, and even growing up, I would get questions from people like, well, what are you? What's your background? And I was like, well, let me tell you. It's very rich and very mixed. There's Native American, European, Black, and a lot of other mixtures in there. Oh, West Indian. So um, I think what I loved about my childhood was knowing that there was this diversity within my own family. Not necessarily in my neighborhood that I grew up in. It was a predominantly white neighborhood. Um, but yeah, those were my most pleasant memories. Oh, and also just playing out on the street.
Yeah.
We didn't have video games, we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have all this technology, so we did spend a lot of time outside. um, and I remember my parents saying, okay, when the light goes on in the front porch, then it's time to come home. So we would just be out all hours, especially in the summertime. So yeah, those are my best memories. So, yeah.
When you say that, it makes me think about like for me, I was born in Orange, New Jersey. So like
Oh,
um one of the things I would look forward to, especially during the summertime, is like when the ice cream truck would roll around and I was trying to
Mm.
scrape up as much change as
yes.
I could or whatever. And I would either get a banana split pop, which was usually like 25 cents, or I'll get like a if I get enough quarters, I can get the blue shark pop, which always tastes like lemon blueberry. Things like that. Like you said, playing outside, scraping your knee, which was never fun. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like scraping
Yeah.
your knee, getting stung by bees, playing freeze tag, all that stuff. Um, but yeah, what about you, Jackie?
About the same outside, uh, playing. Well, some of the unpleasant memories are, getting stung by bees and running from dogs, poison ivy, and all those. But the pleasant memories, just growing up, attending Orange High School, Orange Middle School, and the corner stores, Joe
Yeah,
Bell's, which is kind of iconic in Orange. So good stuff, good memories growing up with neighborhood friends and things like that.
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. So I wanted to ask you. I know it's a silly question, but I ask all my guests this because I had like an obsession with cereal growing up, and because my mom, we never got the good stuff. It was always cornflakes, and that's it. But I would go to my cousin's house. He will have all the good stuff like Tricks and all that, and Smurfberry
All the
Crunch. So, what
sugar.
was your favorite cereal growing up, Kira?
um,
And Saturday morning cartoon.
oh, and Saturday morning cartoon. Well, I love lots of different cereals, but you know what I go back to is Fruity Pebbles.
Yeah, yeah.
Ah,
Um, and what's weird is when I was pregnant with my first, I would crave out of nowhere. I would crave Fruity Pebbles. And my husband
wow.
like, yeah, my husband would be like, "Well, I'm at the grocery store. Can I get you anything?" I'm like, "Yes, a box of Fruity Pebbles." Doesn't
Nice.
make
Ooh.
any sense.
Is
um,
they get soggy so fast.
they do, and I do crave cereal every now and then. I have a trick. I know they sell these bowls, but like I have this trick where like I'll have two bowls. I'll have my bowl with the milk and the bowl with the cereal, and I'll just like scoop in a little bit
Uh,
at a time so that it doesn't get soggy. Yeah.
Nice.
Uh,
Well, what about Saturday morning cartoon? What's some of your
oh,
favorites?
okay. I had a few. I had this one show I like, Kid Video. I
Yeah,
don't know if
yeah.
do you remember that show?
It's my
Um,
radio.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
I love that show. But I think my ultimate was Gem and the Holograms. I love
Oh
Gem.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had like the video cassette, not the video, the audio
mm.
cassette tapes that came with the dolls. And I would go
Right,
down my
right.
basement and I would pretend that I was, in her band, and I knew all the songs, and yeah, that was the
Love
It
it.
was
show.
truly outrageous.
It was
Truly, truly.
truly, truly, truly outrageous.
Oh my gosh. That it's funny because like okay, so we only had one TV in the house and Jim would come on right before Transformers. So I had to sit through the episode because there's only one TV. And so I had to sit through that episode, but I was like some of it's kind of good. It's very dramatic. Don't watch the live action movie though. You'll be disappointed. It's terrible.
I heard it was bad. I didn't
Yeah,
even
it was
bother. No.
wasn't good at all. I
No.
always ask all actors and artists this. What was the video, movie, TV show that really knocked your socks off to where you realize like, oh gosh, I gotta do this as a career?
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, it's kind of obvious, I guess.
Right.
um, well, honestly, okay, so when I got cast in The Greatest Love of All, before I got cast in it, I didn't know who Whitney Houston was. So that was I mean, I had heard her on the radio, but I didn't know that's who was singing the songs, right? So then my mom, she's like, okay, this is her, and she played her music, and then I saw her video. I think it was you you give good love, that one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd seen that one. I think that came before, and I was like, oh, okay, I really like her. No, I think it was Saving All My Love for You. Was it that one? It doesn't matter. I mean, because all of it
Right.
was great, but Saving All My Love for You, and she would sing that, we'll be making love the whole night through. And I would sing that song. Here I am, like 8 or 9 years old. And wondering why my mom was like, maybe you don't want to sing that. I'm like, why? I don't, what's wrong with it? But I think as soon as I was auditioning for that, and then I learned who she was, I just became obsessed with her after that. And then I think of, once I was in the video, and I was like, oh, you can make a career out of this. Okay. That was something that I didn't really think of before, because it was just fun.
Right.
Taking dance classes and being in recitals and that kind of thing.
Well, just not beyond Whitney, but just like other singers who gave you like who were a big influence on you. Because
Well, outside of R&B and pop, I'm a big musical theater geek. And I'd say way back, my dad would have us watch The Sound of Music every year, because they would have it around Thanksgiving. And um, I just, I wanted to be Julie Andrews. So I'd say Julie Andrews was a big influence. And interestingly enough, my voice is more like a legit soprano, musical theater type voice. So I tended to listen to those voices. Also, Melba
oh
Moore,
yeah.
he loved the musical Pearly. So it was playing on CBS, not CBS, PBS. And I have yet to see it play again, but it was, I don't know where it went. We've been looking for it everywhere. Like, where is this recording of the, and so Melba Moore became like another really big influence. And I learned the song she sings, I Got Love, and I still use it for auditions and things like that, yeah, I just love, those are the two I think that are big influences for me when I was younger.
Right on. Right on. When I think of Melba Moore, I think of like one of my favorite movies is The Fighting Temptations, and
Yeah.
she's in it. Yeah, and I love that movie. Yeah.
Yes.
Jackie, you said you had some questions. What questions you got?
Oh, I guess my questions are more so geared towards the video, doing the Greatest Love video. What was Sissy like? If you could, do you remember much of
Yes.
it? I guess is the
Yes.
first question.
Um,
Oh,
yes. Yes, I do.
okay.
I was just trying to fix a glitch there. I remember her being very warm and like my mom. And I was away. My mom was with me at the shoot, but she wasn't with me for most of the actual being on camera, obviously. So she was, waiting, and she was just like my mom there, and she would ask me questions and about my family, and what was my dad like, what are my siblings like, that kind of thing. And when they would say action, she was told to just kind of be encouraging towards me, and as if I were in this talent show, because that's like what happens within the story. And so she's in my ear and she's saying, you're gonna be great, baby. You're gonna go out there and you're gonna show them what you have.
Yeah.
Don't don't be nervous. You're so talented. That I was like, I believe it. I believe it.
Wow. So
Yeah.
did you keep up with them like after that, after doing that project? Did you
I
guys
did
stay in
not,
contact?
I didn't keep in touch, regularly, but my dad would reach out every now and then and to see if it was possible for us a concert when they would be in town.
Mm.
So twice that I remember, shortly after the video, we got to see her in concert, and we went backstage, and oh, it's gonna who was Patty LaBelle was back there, and
Oh wow.
I'm blanking. This is what happens with age. Her aunt,
I understand.
her aunt was back, famous, Dionne Warwick. So woo!
Mhm.
Okay, so Dionne Warwick was back there. And we got a picture. Oh, I wish I had it. Maybe if I get in contact
Wow.
with my my mom, I can like get that picture and send it to you. And
Mhm.
there's a picture of us backstage.
Nice.
My grandmother got to be there. She's no longer with us, but she got to be there with us. And one of my aunts, and we're all back there taking the picture. My nana's not even looking at the camera. She's looking at Whitney like this in the picture, like just
Wow.
smiling. Um, and then the second concert, a few years later, my parents had actually split. So it was sort of like a present for me, to kind of get me over the sadness of all that. And
Mhm.
I got to go backstage again, and I told her, I was like, yeah, my parents aren't together anymore. And she's like, you know what? My my parents aren't together. It happens. And you know what?
Mhm.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine.
Mhm.
She was always, I'm sure she was exhausted after that performance, but she made the time,
Right.
to see me, and that really meant a lot. Um, and
Cool.
I remembered, so it definitely made an impact. We don't realize the impacts we have on
Mhm.
children. That she may not have thought that it was much of anything, but like a little meet and greet. But to me, I was like, okay, I needed that. That kind of got me through,
Yeah.
helped me to get through that time.
Yeah.
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 Excellent day. I understand
Well,
that you have an LLC,
Hmm.
um, prac practically drama.
Yes, oh, practically dramatic. Yes, practically
Practically
dramatic.
dramatic. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I started it with my husband last year, and we
Oh.
are a performing arts consulting business, um, and coaching. So
Mhm.
at its core, we we try to help companies, schools, organizations to integrate the performing arts within their curriculums, or to support their enrichment programs. And then we also teach private coaching. He's a very good public speaking coach.
Okay.
I'm pretty good too. But we have our we have
Mhm.
our specialties, and
Elaine. Yeah.
he's definitely a wonderful public speaking coach. I am a vocal coach, as well as acting. I love to focus on early childhood, elementary. That's really where in my wheelhouse. And my husband loves middle school through high school.
Mhm.
Um, and it's in like the baby stages, but we do have some business, and I was able to leave my full-time job, and now I do have a part-time job now, and then this is my supplementary income. So I'm,
Mhm.
it's going, and
Congrats.
yeah.
That's
Thank
huge.
you.
That is huge. I'm so happy for you.
Yes, thank
So
you.
happy for you that you're doing that. So you also taught at the Pingree School.
Yes.
You go, girl. You go.
right
So
on.
okay.
Yes. Yeah,
Excellent.
Pingree
So have you
School.
have you come across talent that we might know of today or might be familiar with by any chance?
That we've taught, or that we
Yes.
just, in our, well, a lot of our students, I know one of them is more works behind the scenes, but I don't know if you know, and this is not someone I taught, but it's someone that my husband, we did shows with. So before we were teachers, we were performers. We still are performers,
Hmm.
but Joe Jonas,
Oh,
the Jonas
wow.
Brothers.
Okay.
Yes, he was in a show at this theater company. We were all part of this theater company called the Forum Theater, and we did a lot of shows with them. And he did, I don't know how many. I think it was 2 shows with him. Um, Again, there's a picture somewhere with the people we come across, and I'd say I'm trying to. It's like one of those questions that I wasn't prepared for, so I'm trying to think of
Oh, I'm
like
sorry.
no, it's fine. Um,
Jonas
Jonas.
is pretty big. I forget that they're from Jersey too.
yes, 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 yes.
Are they in the Texas area now?
Who,
I
Jonas
don't
Brothers? They,
don't
they, they,
know.
they live in a they should they I think they probably live on the West Coast now, but they're Jersey. They're
Hmm.
Jersey boys.
I was thinking our cousin may have serviced him. We have a cousin who's a dentist, and I think he may have had him as a client
Small
randomly.
world.
But anyway,
Yeah, small world. I mean, yeah, and I I heard that because I didn't meet him personally, but he told me he was such a good kid because look at where he is.
awesome.
um, and
That's
I think,
awesome.
a lot of my students, and I'm thinking they have gone into the arts in some way.
Hmm.
But many of them, and I've told this to many people who question, like, well, how can theater arts and how can they help my child? They don't really want to go into the arts, and I tell them that
Mm.
it's not about becoming famous.
Hmm.
It's about instilling confidence and providing the skills that we all need as people in this world. The social
Hmm.
skills, the confidence to speak up for yourself, to be on stage, and even when you're nervous, because I'm, I tell my kids this all the time. I'm always nervous before a performance.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
even if it's a show I've done 100 times, every show is new. You think, oh, this could go wrong, this could go wrong, but it you're able to work through it. You're able to use that nervous energy and turn it into something positive and go out there and show them that you do know what you're talking about. Even if
Hmm.
you don't feel that at the time,
Yeah,
you learn how to do that. So that's where, like, the public speaking is really really important, and something I think we should all take at some point.
for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for caring enough to instill that into our young people. I mean, it's important. I think it's so
Yes.
important. So
Th-
I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. I agree 100%. I want to get back to we're going to get back to the anxiety part because I know you wanted to share your your views and your the fact that you go through anxiety. But I want to ask you a few questions about the greatest love of all. Just to go back to that real quick.
Hmm.
Um So okay, let me tell you the story about Greatest Love of All. So my other sister Tartisha is like a huge Whitney Houston fan, especially growing up. And so like on MTV, they would have like this countdown. And whenever the Greatest Love of All would go to number one, she'll blare it up to the top notch and just start, go, what I'm saying, going with the music or whatever. And honestly, as a kid, that would annoy me, right? So like my but the other video that always came to second place was Ozzy Osbourne Shot in the Dark. So whenever that would come on, I would blur it up. I'm like, yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. I didn't even know who Ozzy Osbourne was, you know what I mean? But then like, I just to do it just to spite my sister, But but eventually I ended up really loving that video, Greatest Love of All. Especially as I become an adult, or as I am an adult now, it holds a different meaning for me. But it always makes me think of my sister Tatisha, hello Tatisha, whenever you watch this. So I just want to say that real quick. Um, I wanted to ask, what was the usually when they have auditions is usually a cattle call. Was that the same thing when it came to you auditioning for that?
Well, at the time, my parents got an agent for me. A lot of their friends and family said that we should try to get into commercials, and we were very, I mean, we were a very musical family, very I think we have a lot of talent in our family.
Mhm.
All my siblings can sing and dance, and um, I'm the only one who actually stuck with it and still do it to this day. But
Wow.
um,
Okay.
so a lot of them were saying, you should really get them into doing some of this stuff. And um, the Greatest of All was actually my first audition for anything like on TV. The what I had done before were like print ads for modeling and that kind of stuff. And so I think there were 300 kids, 300 girls called for the audition, for the initial audition. So they called me in. I sang Home from The Wiz,
Nice.
and they had us sing a cappella with no music.
Mm.
And but I had sung that song so many times, it was like nothing for me. I was like, okay, I got this. It's funny
Mhm.
how, like, as I got older, I would get more nervous. At the time, I was just like, oh, sure, I'm just going to sing my favorite song, okay.
Mhm.
Right.
And they took a video. And then at the callbacks, um, it was just me and one other girl. And I ended
Mm.
up getting the role because Whitney Houston wanted me, and the director wanted the other girl, from what I understand,
Mhm.
because he wanted someone older. I guess in the description, the young Whitney was supposed to be 12 years old. I was only 9, so but she kept saying no.
Oh, wow.
I want her.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So that felt good. That felt really good. Knowing that. Um,
So she
so
handpicked.
it
Okay.
was. It was. It was. I love that.
Wow.
Yeah, I
I
think
think it's
about
really
that.
cool that when you said previously, you said you really didn't know who Whitney was in the beginning, but the whole video and the whole meaning of the song to me is kind of like, kind of discovering who you are, especially at that part where you guys are kind of face to face and you're walking towards each other. And
Oh,
I think that's really cool because I mean, really, honestly, that's a lot of people's first discovery of Whitney is through this video, at least mine, at least,
Mhm.
unless you kind of lived in the New Jersey area and you were familiar with, her singing in that gospel choir, a lot of
mhm.
people are just discovering Whitney through that video. So it's kind of like, it makes sense that it's kind of metaphorical, you know what I mean?
I absolutely agree. And there's so many levels to being in this, to having this experience. It really, it was such a turning point in my life. And I think, and I know in the interview that you had seen, when we come together, she each take we had, she would, kind of give me this little like look, as if
Yeah,
like,
the eyebrow raise.
yeah. And it was like, you got this, right? It
Mm.
was this I just got so much just from that
Mhm.
look, as if, she's looking at me and maybe seeing herself, and then I'm looking at her, seeing where I can be someday. And
Mhm.
um yeah, I think about that. I do get emotional, and I think just how things did turn out for her. And um you just don't know where your life will take you.
Yeah.
And you know I just don't, just that one point in my life, like if I hadn't gotten that part, or if I, if they went with the older girl, like where would I be? I don't know. Would
Mm-hmm.
I be doing this? um, so it has defined a big, big part of my life, definitely.
For sure. For sure. Um, so I want to ask you, kind of like an update. Nowadays, you're married, you have two beautiful children. How has being a mom changed your life?
Oh, it it's everything. I mean, there's that cliche of you don't remember what it was like before you had kids, kind of, but it's kind of true. I just know that a lot of positive things have happened in my life since I've had children, but then there were a lot of there were a lot of things that came to light that I was not really aware of in myself that I've had
Mm-hmm.
to kind of work through. But becoming a mom has been the greatest blessing. And I know before I had kids, I was like, I will never not audition. I will always be an actor. I will just, throw myself into this. And that's all I wanted. And then I met this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden I was like, oh, I can see having kids with you.
Wow, wow,
I
wow.
just knew. I mean, it's just he not only was he just talented and loving, and at one point I was like, there must be something wrong with you because you're too good to be true. I mean, I had all these
Wow.
um but I could just see he was going to be a wonderful dad. And then my priorities shifted, and it wasn't that I didn't want to perform. It wasn't that I was giving up on a dream. Um I was moving towards a different dream that I had, and which was to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't trade it for anything. But I am now at that point with my beautiful boys, and they're 15 and 11, and one of them is in the arts, but he likes to be kind of behind the scenes. So he's a filmmaker. He loves to,
Okay.
Okay.
yeah. He's 15,
Excellent.
and he makes a lot of he has a YouTube channel, and can I say it on here? It's called Three Boys Gaming. Um, and
Oh,
yeah, and so he like
big.
he has a lot of content that, for me, I'm just kind of like, okay. But when I see the quality and his editing skills and
Mm-hmm.
just the creativity that he has, I'm in awe of that. And I want to support that however I can. Um,
Right. And
and then
nurture it. Yeah.
yeah, and my 11-year-old, the bug has bitten him. He loves being on stage. And this past summer was the first time friends of ours they were putting on a musical, Into the Woods. And it's an educational theater company. And I
Mm.
got to be in it, my husband
Mhm.
and my son. I played the witch, and my husband played Cinderella's prince, and then my son was
Oh, wow.
in the ensemble, and then my older son was videoing the show. So it was like a family affair.
Wow.
And
Yes.
I was just over the moon. It was one of the best
Cool.
experiences. I don't remember where this question was. Oh, being a mom. So now that they're older, I am finding myself, I have more time to actually get back into performing for
Mhm.
myself and not just teaching it, which I do love to teach, but I do miss being on the stage. So it's something that I'm getting back into, and it's been great. It's been great these past couple years. Yeah.
Awesome.
Beautiful. The teaching, have you
Yeah.
have you had the experience uh, of teaching a student who you saw yourself in?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. Well, and then there's the opposite. There are times when I see somebody who they don't realize that they have this in them, because I think I've always known I just wanted to perform in some way. I just didn't know how.
Hmm.
And those are the students actually that I remember more because it's almost like a light bulb goes off. Um,
Mm.
and I had a few students like that. And one of them, I know you were asking me before, are there any students that I have that are, they're not necessarily famous, but they've taken this path and it's like, and they can pinpoint when they decided. And
Hmm.
one of my students, my husband and I both taught her. She is a directing student at Penn State, and so she wants to be a director. Um,
Mm.
and I know
Beautiful.
that started with us, with my husband and
Hmm.
I. So I think
Yeah.
about that. And she didn't know that's what she wanted to do. She just
And
knew
she
that there
didn't
was
know.
something, and so that she found that within our classroom.
Hmm.
It was really magical. um but then there are those, yes, you see them and you're just like, oh, you have this thing,
Hmm.
and people need to see it. um
Mm.
and that's always wonderful as well, just being able to see the spark from the beginning and
Hmm.
just letting them kind of take off and do their thing. Yeah, they just need that
Yeah. Yeah.
little push.
How cool is that to be able to plant those seeds,
Yes.
in the lives of people who, like you said, some of them know, or some of them don't even know,
Mhm.
and to nurture the ones that you see yourself in, and or have the gift, and give them that little push. That is awesome. That is
Yes.
awesome. Okay, that
Yes,
was
it
my
is.
That was a good question. That was a good question.
So, so I wanted to ask people now, and I'm glad we're able to talk about things that like, anxiety and things of that nature now, because back in the day, that was kind of a taboo subject. So could you tell me like how anxiety, how you deal with that on a regular basis, and like you said earlier, a lot of times you can use that as an advantage as far as like your art and performing. So yeah.
Mhm. Um, yes. So I was diagnosed late with ADHD because I was always a good student. I got A's, A's and B's, and I always had this focus that you always kind of associate ADHD with, like, oh, I just can't focus on anything and I don't know where to put my attention. And I didn't understand that, especially in women, it shows up differently. Um,
Hmm.
Mm.
so what I was experiencing was hyper focus, which people with ADHD have, which is that when they're passionate about something, they are able to really hone in on that focus and take that and just run with it. And so, because I already knew what my passion was, which was the arts, and anytime I was in a part, in a role, in a musical, I just put my whole self into it, focused, and excelled. But other parts of my life, for instance, my room at home was always a complete disaster. And as much as I love my mother, she didn't do me any favors by, eventually she just couldn't take it. So she'd like clean it for me, or like,
Hmm.
we would just kind of go on a cleaning spree and do it in one go. So I never really developed the tools uh, to balance life. So um, it wasn't until I became a mom that I realized, oh, I really don't know how to balance any of this. Like,
Mm.
how do you do it? How do you do the laundry, cook, raise a child, go to work, come back,
Mm-hmm.
figure everything out, balance a checkbook. Like it was like for a while I was like, I think there's something wrong with my brain. I don't know, why can't I do this like other people do it? And so I did develop a lot of anxiety, some depression, and so I just thought I had anxiety and depression for
Hmm.
years, and that's just all it was. And I just didn't know how to deal with it. And when in reality, it was because of my undiagnosed ADHD that I developed anxiety and
Isn't
depression
it?
because I didn't have those tools to really cope. Um, and I still struggle, but knowing what it is just changed
Mm-hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
Um, and even
See.
just being able to explain to my husband, who like for years was like, okay, so why are the cabinets left open? And I thought you said you were going to get to the laundry, and um oh, you didn't tell me that we had this doctor's appointment. Like there were just many things that would slide that, I'd look at other, again, like other mothers, and I'm like, why can they do this and I can't? And it's not about why can they do this and I can't. It's more, okay, this is how my brain works.
Right.
How can I accommodate for that? And how do I make it work? Because my brain doesn't work like yours. I don't go from A to B to C to D. I go from A to G and then back to B and then maybe
Mm.
um to F, right? It's like
Right.
Mm-hmm.
it jumps. And so knowing that, and kind of going back to, kind of brings it back to like Whitney Houston, where, um with the drugs that she got involved with through her life, um I never had like a rock bottom, but I always tell this to people: you don't have to have a rock bottom to make a change in your life, right? So
Right.
I did, I drank alcohol. um I would never call myself an alcoholic, but I definitely used it as a coping mechanism,
Okay.
for anxiety. So at the end of the day, I'm like, okay, I'll just have a couple glasses of wine. And then during the pandemic, my drinking went up, as a lot of people's did. And I realized, I'm like, this is not serving me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just making everything so much worse. So I just feel very grateful that I was able to come to that conclusion. I even made an Instagram page called Teetotal Vegan, um, and a Teetotal Vegan Queen. Sorry, Teetotal Vegan Queen. So, oh yeah, I'm a vegan as well. So that happened. The veganism happened 7 years ago. The teetotal, meaning I don't drink anymore. I drink no
Mm-hmm.
alcohol. It's almost 1,000 days. So that's
Mm-hmm.
since I've
Woohoo!
had
Celebrate.
anything. Yeah, celebrate, celebrate. I'm gonna put it on my page too when I hit 1,000, and um,
Mm.
it's
Nice.
just made such a difference. I can't tell you how much alcohol is just in our society, and it's just kind of part of us being social. Like you're expected. Oh, it's a social occasion, and most people, when they go to a social occasion, if there's no alcohol, it's like, what,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So now for me, when it's there, I'm just like, okay, it's there. It's just not something that I want to
Mm-hmm.
really have to I don't want to put myself in that situation anymore, knowing that I struggle already with other things. I feel like it's just a monkey that I don't want on my back anymore, and
Right.
it's not, and I don't need it. Um, that went into a lot. I went into a lot
Good
there,
for you.
but yeah.
Awesome.
So I do try to help people with that Instagram page, because
Mm-hmm.
um, so they know they're not alone, and it's
Right.
not. And when I went on Instagram, I didn't realize that there's a whole community of people that have just, they're not necessarily labeling themselves as alcoholic, but they also know that alcohol is just not for them, that it doesn't serve
Mm-hmm.
them. and
Right.
showing how you can live without it, you know.
Right
Yep.
on.
Sometimes that's all it takes is to see somebody else winning.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
Right on.
God bless you
Oh,
for that.
thank you.
I have an actual bonus question because I didn't even think about it until I started writing down stuff. Um, they recently did a Whitney biopic called "I Want to Dance with Somebody."
Hmm.
So, from your point of view, how do you think? Do you think? What's your opinion on the movie as a whole? But also, do you think they portrayed her in um the right way and through that biopic? Because she's had like a number of biopics, but that was the one that went to theaters.
Hmm. Um, so I'm gonna be honest with you. I tried to watch it and then I couldn't, and I don't. I intend to, but
Okay.
even I watched the documentary,
Hmm.
and that was really difficult for me to watch. Um, I cried a lot through it. I think it was important for me to watch it. But I think after watching that, and I didn't know if I really wanted to see it dramatized.
Mm.
Um, but I do intend to see it. I just have to prepare myself for it. When she passed, I didn't realize how much it would affect me. I just remember holding my, gosh, how old was he? My like 4 month old baby, and seeing the news break, and it was really difficult because I'd been like removed enough that I kind of just felt like, okay, that's something that happened, that was a cool thing. But when that happened, and it just hit me like, okay, she had such a big impact on my life, like where I was in my life at that point, and from then till now. And um, it was hard. And I've even had people calling me, and I was like, I'm fine. Like, we weren't best friends or anything. Like, don't worry about it.
Mhm.
Right.
But then I would be like, afterwards,
Mhm.
just a mess. So I didn't see the movie. I I do want to.
Mhm.
Well, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you whether I because the documentary I thought was very difficult, but I think it was needed just to see. Um, there were so many rumors,
Right.
so
Right.
Mhm.
many, and you didn't live her life. You weren't there, and it did hurt. Like during that time, like for people to say all these really negative things and forgetting that she was a human being. I felt like,
Mhm.
and just an amazing artist.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
So
voice of a generation. I mean, like when you were just saying about like people will call you and you'd be like, oh no, we weren't friends, but it really you don't really have to know anybody personally for them to have an impact in your life. It
And
could be just the small things. Like like for me, when Michael Jackson passed away, I was legitimately sad for like 2 days because of his music and how much it meant to me. You know, so it just, but I can only imagine like you were in the video with her, you know what I'm saying, and you had to be in that video. I mean, you played such an important part in that video, so I can only imagine how you felt, you know. So it's okay to have those emotions. Are you still there? Hello?
yeah, I'm there. I'm here.
mhm.
Okay.
Sorry, it's so
Um,
glitchy.
no, it's okay. Um, I wanted to ask, how can folks reach you? I know everybody has an Instagram nowadays.
Yes, so you can reach me for my business. It's at Practically Dramatic. And I also have a website, practicallydramatic.com. Um, so if anything professional, I also, because I am in New Jersey, if you are not in New Jersey and you're hearing this, I obviously can meet you virtually. Um, and I do virtual lessons as well, acting coaching, but mostly for organizations if you are interested in finding ways to integrate performing arts into your programs. That would be the best way. to reach me. And then if you're looking for support ideas on being alcohol free and vegan is and being a vegan, which I know a lot of people think of veganism as, how can I ever do that? Why would I ever want to give up meat? But and I thought the same thing. So, but if you're just, thinking about it, if you're vegan curious, as they like to say, or they say sober curious as well, check out my Instagram page at Teetotal Vegan Queen.
Well, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being, I know you're a very busy lady. Thank you also to my sister Jackie for your time. You're a busy lady. And it's been nice talking to you. Um, and yeah, thanks again. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm really I just feel blessed that you found me and that you've given me this chance to share a little bit about myself and what I do and what I love. So thank you. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.